many lightning bolt type cards in your deck that are low impact and don't really help your combo. Okay, I think I'll try this, though I do need a second land pretty quickly to successfully develop my hand. But yeah, I have like threat overload here, so if I get to develop them quickly. Mock conscripts. Oh, they can block. Like, they can't attack unless they play. No idea how this matchup goes, though my hand is very promising with Battle Rage, Kiln Fiend, Soul Eater, though we have already experienced that Soul Eater gets a lot worse whenever your life total is under pressure. But yeah, without the second land, I'm probably in trouble. And Death Spark should be pretty painful to deal with as well, even though this might still be the mono-red aggro deck or the mono-red goblins deck. Both of the decks play mock conscripts, though it looks to be goblins. Sparksmith is pretty annoying, shoots down all of my creatures, though they will be taking a significant amount of damage themselves. So I think I'm actually reckless charging here, because I get multiple bodies on the board and threaten a ton of damage. So either they trade in their Sparksmith here, which I think I'm fine with. Getting this off the board makes my Immolating Soul Eater and Kiln Fiend a lot better. Or they take this damage, then using the Sparksmith is going to be pretty painful for them. Like, they take 6 here down to 14, and then the activation already deals 2 to them. So basically I'm sacrificing like 1/1 creatures to deal 2 damage to their face. And that gets them closer to my combo range. That could be nice for me. So yeah, I think my plan has to be to overload the Sparksmith. It also makes it more difficult for them to commit additional goblins to the board, because then the Sparksmith ability becomes even more painful than it currently is. They don't seem to care though. They played a 3rd goblin without activating it, and a 4th goblin. So I guess they now decided to never activate it unless I'm threatening a combo. Or they just don't mind taking 4. Though yeah, them having 3 2/2s against my 4 1/1s is not a great thing. And I did miss on my second land group for quite a while, so I think I'm likely out of this game. At least if my opponent has a stream of creature spells to cast, so that these cohorts and conscripts can keep attacking. Wow. Okay, I might just be dead in 1 or 2 turns here, and likely have to throw some part of my board position away to stay alive. So I guess my opponent flooding out and stopping, like that they stop casting creature spells is like my best hope. So if I double block and they activate this, that's probably nice for me. Sure. Because then they take 6 to keep one of their guys alive. They could kill my only creature that I'm left with afterwards, but yeah, I'm still banking on the fact that they end up not drawing more creatures. Okay, so they do have Death Spark in their deck. It's pretty weird in the way that Modo is programmed, because in these Eternal formats, like Graveyard Order matters, but Magic Online never asks you for Graveyard Order unless one of the 2 players has a card in their deck that cares about Graveyard Order, basically. So even if you like Thought Scour yourself on turn 1 before your opponent has played their first land, and it asks you for the order that you want the cards to be in. Wait, no, maybe not there. Maybe not Thought Scour, but like some kind of effect where multiple things go into the graveyard at the same time, and it asks you for an order. You already know that you're playing against goblins, because the only deck in Pauper that has Graveyard's Order Matters cards is goblins, so the fact that they have Death Spark in their deck brings that up as a relevant fact. And yeah, here both me and my opponent had 2 creatures dying, and it asked us for the Graveyard Order that we preferred. So that shows the fact that they have Death Spark somewhere in their deck and gives that information to me, which is pretty strange. But well, the other way to solve that issue would just be to always ask for Graveyard Order, and I think that's even more annoying. Like that would just slow down, like you would slow down 99 matches unnecessarily just for the one match where it comes up to not give any extra information. That's probably a net negative, even though it would help the Goblin players. So I have access to a ton of removal that I can potentially bring in to play this as more of like, well, maybe like I'm playing more controllingly and then hoping that my combo comes out ahead over their beatdown plan. Yeah, that seems okay. Though I have to figure out which 7 cards I can take out. I think I'm interested in taking these Furors out again, and then maybe some Soul Eaters. Though once again, they have a lot of potential. I think all my 1-drops are pretty nice, especially the Crone Crusader can pump out blockers. Mage Ring Bully is kinda vulnerable to having to attack and then not being a great defensive tool. But also it's a 2/2 on its own, and then I can use a spell. Well, first of all, it synergizes really well with the removal spells because it grows bigger while I'm killing my opponent's creatures. But also I can use a spell on one of my other creatures and it still grows with the prowess. So that actually makes it pretty nice. Okay, I think I try cutting 3 of these. Though once again my deck is a little bit more threat light now. It's possible that in some matchups you can even afford to cut a land when you're lowering your curve, but a lot of my mulligans already come from not having enough lands. Yeah, I think this is like barely a keep, though I'm very flooded already. You want your land count to be like exactly 3 and sometimes 2. So that's a pretty awkward spot to be in because your number of lands that you draw have to be in a very narrow band, and like 5 is awful, 4 is already pretty borderline, and 1 is also difficult to operate on. So many of your games are going to come down to the land count being either exactly right or somewhere outside of that range, and then you get crushed. Like here, for example, my 5th land is just a complete blank. Not certain if you could theoretically support like 1 or 2 Faithless Lootings to smooth out those draws, but you do need a critical mass of spells. So the card disadvantage of Faithless Looting is still a little bit of a problem. I think I'm willing to get 6 damage in here, and the Mutagenic Growth protects me from a potential bolt. And if they throw their Mock Conscripts away to soak up that damage, I'm also fine with that. Okay, they do, apparently. Sure. Once again, the Death Spark, then I save my guy. Sure. They probably should have sequenced that differently. Like if they cast this before combat damage, then it ends up below the Mock Conscripts and they could recur it right away, so that was a definite misplay by my opponent. And like, there wasn't even any reason for them to be afraid of me casting a spell. I guess Teemo Better Rage. If I had Teemo Better Rage in my hand, then making me trigger the prowess before combat damage would have been slightly worse for them because they take a bunch more damage, and leaving me in the under the illusion that my creature is going to survive and they're just jump blocking might make it so they take no damage and I have to Teemo Better Rage at end of turn anyways. So there was some consideration to that. But I think most likely they just denied themselves the ability to Death Spark for not a lot of gain. Like getting this back for not a lot of gain for the way that they sequence it differently. I'll hold on to the Reckless Charge for any kind of creature top decks because I'm so flooded that maximizing the value of all of my cards is going to be important. But yeah, both of us are in a pretty weird spot. My opponents like low on cards, they 2-for-1 themselves here. Well, not really. And I think they did some kind of mulligan. And I'm just flooding out insanely hard. Okay, I think now I'll Reckless Charge just because it gives toughness to my Maturing Volley. And then they might go for like a block plus sacrifice one of their creatures to get 3 power in front of it, and I get Brute Force. Or they double block and then the same thing happens. Basically they lose 2 of their creatures and don't kill my Maturing Volley. It's probably beneficial to me. And they end up with Justicing a 1/1. And there's no creature in their deck that really outclasses my Maturing Volley. There's only some that trade for it. As a 2/2, I mean, without support. But yeah, 5th and 6th land being drawn, those are disasters that you really want to avoid. Opponent is almost out of cards, like they only have the 1 top deck every turn, and they don't currently have access to their Death Spark, though they can enable it for themselves again by sacrificing a creature to this Sledder or Raider. This is pretty awkward because now they will get the Death Spark. So my Acron Crusader is like a horrible top deck once I'm being locked out of 1 toughness creatures by this. Damn. Can theoretically just put Crusader down, let them get the Spark back, then try to keep it alive with Brute Force. That's not particularly promising. Keeping my Maturing Volley alive is also not very promising. They still end up with the Death Spark in hand, and then they can block with the next Mud Brawl cohort the following turn. Still seems slightly better to pick up pieces of their board instead of just trading for this. And just keep this in hand until I can do something good with it. Maybe top deck an enchantment for it or something. Yeah, pretty terrible position here just because I cast so much fewer spells than my opponent did. They cast 7 so far and I cast 4. And I mean, I have the 5th one in hand, but it's irrelevant now. So I kind of would have to find a Kiln Fiend and then some follow-up top decks. They're going on the aggressive, interesting. So I guess that means they at the very least found a creature, most likely one of the 1-mana 2/2s. Well, that is like multiple creatures. That's even worse for me. Well, I mean, that's pretty decent, and I most likely have to cast it, but the Mock Raider, Goblin Sledder abilities kind of keep their board intact. Mostly they can sacrifice some of their 1 toughness creatures to save some other of the 1 toughness creatures, so I only end up killing like 2 of their creatures or something. Like they sacrifice this and a token to save these 2, for example. Some similar, or keep this alive, I guess, if they really want a blocker. That seems not so good. Well, now they throw one of these away to save the other one. Yeah, so I ended up killing a token and a Sledder. Then if I make an attack, they can... Well, I do have to make an attack. There's not really a lot of strategic thought to attacking or not attacking with the Mage Ring Bully. Now they can sack another creature to trade. They decided not to. That's kind of strange. I thought like sacrificing this to make the trade happen was better, but maybe they're going fully aggro because they know they have the Death Spark in hand. Probably want to just throw this away then to get it out of their hand so they can't block Mage Ring Bully with a 1/1 and then shoot it down afterwards. This at least makes them spend some resources on that, or threatens to block. Yeah, my position is still pretty awful, but I think my opponent significantly misplayed this game in multiple spots. Both the turn 3 Death Spark usage, and then also the way that they just used Mock Raider and Goblin Slitter, or declined to use them after blocking my Mage Ring Bully. I could have no Mage Ring Bully on the board here, and then my position would be even worse. I'm still likely losing, but my opponent gave me some extra outs that were pretty unnecessary. Yeah. And I think I'm just dead. Let's see. Like, if they don't block, I'm pretty much just dead. And if they do block, they get their Death Spark back. Though I might be surviving on 1 there. Well, now they make the trade that they could have done the previous turn. That still ends up giving them the Death Spark back, so they kill my creature and put me to 2, and then pretty much have no outs. Because then either of their 2 creatures are lethal. So even if I top deck another creature, there's no way for me to stabilize. Like, I thought for a second about a spell that makes multiple bodies, like Hortling Outburst or something for this deck. But it's... huh? What? That seems weird, rather than just shooting this down. Maybe that's better if they have a follow-up creature that costs 2. What? Why would you not get the extra damage in? Well, I guess they can Death Spark my face and that ends up working out the same. Well, we got wrecked. Yeah. Does seem very fragile. If you're both in trouble against controlling decks with a lot of SWAT removal and in creature mirrors, then I can definitely see the issues with the deck. But we did run some people over pretty hard, so I can also see the appeal of the deck.